Your turn, Yugi boy.
What is up, guys? This is Linthio coming at you today with a updated version of my Counter Fairy deck. Now, since the very first one that I did, it's taken a lot of changes. A lot of changes have happened, and yeah, I'm quite happy and proud with it and excited to show you. Now, first things first, a little disclaimer. Yes, I do have a Dracopal engine in there. Well, not Dracopal, Draco Slayer engine in there. Don't crucify me for it. I realise it's not exactly... what's the word? Not exactly non-meta that I do run normally that you like to see. And also, people in the previous one that I did, they said that it's not Counter Fairies because I play literally one Counter Fairy. For it to be for kind of meta as possible, competitive as possible, this is the way that it has to be done. So you won't see any Sanctuary builds or anything like that in this one. So just keep that in mind and... yeah, realise that. So, starting us off, we have the 3 Bountiful Armades. Yes, I finally got my 3 ultis. Shout out to my TO, Mike Clorozu from the Brotherhood. He hooked me up with these. Very, very happy I finally got them. This is the main card that you want to open with. You need to get Bountiful because it's simply one of the key cards of the deck. To keep the advantage going is very important. Ideally, you want to open this 3 counter traps and Card of Demise in your opening hands, and then draw into like Ariadne and all that. But I'll go over some of the little things in a bit. I'm also going to do a duel video with this, with a few replays, because I think it's important. This is one of the few decks that I think needs a lot of explaining, but I'm going to try and do a lot more because a lot more with different decks as well, including Toon, Skull Servant, so on and so forth, because a lot of people have been asking for them. So yeah, but Bountiful Armades is the important one. Next up, we have the 3 Guiding Ariadne. This card is just insane. Costless activation for discard traps and also counter traps is just so good. I do love it, and I just can't believe this is such a good card. It's absolutely brutal with some of the engines in here. Well, mainly obviously the Luster, everyone knows that one. But I'll go over that in a little bit. It's one of the main cards you want to see in your opening hand as well. Yeah, what can I really say about it? It's just so good. I don't mind summoning this, like just normal summoning and leaving it there, because people are not really too keen on giving you a search for counter traps. So yeah, it's really good. Do love it, and yeah, it's just you want to see it as quickly as possible. Next up, I have 1 Luster, 1 Vector, and 1 Master. So these 3 all go together, obviously. So this is the little engine that I have going in here. Because Luster works so well with Guiding Ariadne, and also Master gets to pop her as well, it's just kind of needed to make it as competitive as possible. It works really well, if I'm completely honest. I might bump this up. I've been thinking of bumping this up to 2, simply because I only have 1 Dracoverlord target for face-off, and I have these 2, you know, so it makes it really difficult. This is a really difficult part of the build, because there are so many different ways you can go with it, but you don't want to draw them, because Card of Demise is a very important card in the deck, and you don't want to be stuck with kind of dead pendulums that you need to put in the scales to activate and all this, and well, as in just to try and get rid of them. You want to try and keep your scales open for Ariadne when you do find it. So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do this. But opening Luster, Ariadne, or some of the times Card of Demise, the amount of times I've done Card of Demise, drew 3 into a Luster, Ariadne, and something else is just so good. So, yeah, really good cards, and they're working really well. The only annoying thing is these are level 3s. I wish one of them was like a level 7 scale, or something like that, because it would make things so much easier in my life. However, one of the cards that is the higher scale I will get onto now. So we have 2 Eccentric Archfiends. So we got 2 Archfiends simply because it's a back row removal for 1. I don't play any Twin Twisters or MSTs, spoiler alert. And this is just a really good card. 1, because it is a scale 7, so it's a nice high scale for the deck. 2, it's back row removal and also monster removal if I do need it. This deck can sometimes kind of struggle with big monster removal, simply because just the way that it is. And yeah, Eccentric Archfiend just works really well. The way, unfortunately, that it is, once Eccentric Archfiend is in the extra deck, I cannot Pendulum Summon it again, because the lowest scale I have is 3, and obviously you need to be between 3. You can only summon monsters between 3 and, say, 7. So 4, 5, 6 can only be summoned, so yeah. But the Archfiends are really good. I did originally have 1, but realised having 2 is really nice. You can arguably run 3, but I don't want to draw it too often, if I'm completely honest, just because there's certain other stuff that I do want. Finally, for the monsters, we have 2 Honest. Honest is one card that I'm really struggling with recently. Like, on paper, it's a staple, because obviously you want to keep Bountiful alive as much as possible. But drawing this under Card of Demise is just so painful, because I'm just like, I don't want to see you now. I want to see you later when I don't have to discard my whole hand at the end of the turn. Because ideally, the whole point of this deck, which I'll get into in a little bit, is you draw, set, everything, and then pass. So, Honest is still in here, but I may test without it just to see how it goes. Maybe some other type of protection in replacement for this. But yeah, we will see. But as always, 2 Honest is still good. Next up, we have one of the brand new cards, 3 Card of Demise. If you have never seen this card, you don't know what it does. Its effect is draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Also, for the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, your opponent takes no damage. During the end phase, send your entire hand to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 Card of Demise once per turn, and you cannot special summon during the turn you activate this card. So, sounds like a lot of different restrictions, but it is a absolutely insane card. The amount of times I'll draw this and like 4 counter traps, or traps in general, I'll just set everything and activate Card of Demise, draw 3. And that's where you see a lot of your different plays. And Card of Demise, it's one of the things that's been amazing for this deck. Sorry for hitting the camera. It's just so good. I really wish we had Ties of the Brethren, because that would finish this deck for me. Because that's needed. If you don't know what Ties of the Brethren is, look it up. It's a really good card. Really good spell card. You basically target a level 4 lower monster on your side of the field and special summon 2 monsters from your deck with the same attributes and type, but with a different name. So in this deck, for example, if I had Bountiful, I'd special summon out like Ariadne and another fairy. So you know how it works. It's really good. But obviously there are certain restrictions. You can't attack, or your opponent doesn't take any damage, one or the other. And you can't special summon. But it's still really good. Card Demise is just insane in this deck. It's an insane card in general. I think it is just so good, and I don't understand why it's so cheap. I think it's one of those cards, if you can pick up a playset, pick it up, because at some point in the future, it is going to be insane. So Card Demise is really good advocate, and just in general, it's really good. Next up, we have the 3 Pot of Duality. Yes, my ulties. I have tried to bling this deck as much as possible. Pot of Duality is great with this card. These 2 are just insane to open up with, because you can do it one way or the other. I will normally set everything, Card of Demise, and then Pot of Duality. But it does depend on the situation. But, you know, it's just the maximum amount of digging that you can do. One turn I did open up with 4 counter traps, and Card of Demise, set everything, Card of Demise, drew it into a Pot of Duality with get this, with Luster and also with Ariadne, set the scales, Ariadne, pop Ariadne. It was just insane. Just the amount of advantage I had, and I had no cards in hand, so it was really good. And the Pot of Duality, Card of Demise drew me into a Bountiful as well, so I was completely set up. So it's just amazing. But Pot of Duality, you don't really need special summon in this deck all that much. Pendulum's here just for a bit of support. And yeah, so that's really all I need to say about Pot of Duality. You can kind of get how it works. Next up, we have the 1 face-off, Draco face-off. Obviously, this is in here because of the Dracos that I play. It's just really good, and yeah, it's annoying when you draw it dead. There's nothing much you can do. That's why I'm thinking of putting Draco Overlord, Vector Pendulum to 2, just because it means I do have a target if I don't draw it, or if I do draw it, sorry, but yeah, we will see for further testing. Next up, the 1-up start. This is just here to try and get me to some more counter traps or anything. I like to think it just replaces a card in my hand as a counter trap, but you never know. So the 1-up start is still good. 1 day apiece. Again, like the upstart, it's just a bit of draw, and this is more protection as well. So it means that if you have bricked or drawn a little bit of a bad hand, you can just upstart and just wait a turn or whatever you like. So that's the usual stuff. And then finally for the spells, we have the 1 Moon Mirror Shield. I literally just put this in because I originally had the barrier statue. I can't remember which one it's called. Oh, here it is. I originally had the barrier statue of the heavens. If you don't know what this is, it's simply no monsters can be special summoned apart from light monsters. And a lot of the pendulums apart from Vector is light, so it all worked really well. Problem is, this card is just a bit lackluster. The only reason that I put this in was because originally I was running Ties of the Brethren because I thought it was coming out in the Millennium Pack. I was wrong because it's originally released in a Millennium box. So that's why I had it in here, and I realised that without Brethren, it's just not as good. So yeah, that's why I've taken it out. And Mira Shield has taken its place, or they're one of. I just dropped it on the floor, so I was picking it up. So Mira Shield is great. I'm only running one because I already deep draw into the deck quite often, and you only really need one. This is just here to go straight on your Bountiful to keep it alive, and you can just pay life points when it goes to put it to the top of the deck if you so wish. So really good card, really good. And yeah, originally I was also running Soul Charge, but Soul Charge only have 5 targets, which are the 2 Honests, and then the Armides. Sorry, not Armides. Oh yeah, Bountiful. And the other one was Barrier Statue, but obviously since I took them out, we had less targets, so it just makes sense. Now on to the bread and butter of the deck. We have 3 counter traps called Ultimate Providence. This card is so dumb when you have Ariadne out. And even if you don't have Ariadne, it's still not exactly dead. It's a counter trap. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, discard the same type of card, monster, spell, or trap. Negate the activation if you do destroy. So for example, if someone activates a trap and you don't have Ariadne, you have a trap in your hand, you discard the trap and negate it. So that's how it works. It's pretty simple. But this card is just so good because with Ariadne, it's a free negate of basically anything. And you can search it, you can do everything like that. So it's really solid. It is not too much at 3. It is just brilliant. I love the card and I'm so glad it came out. It was announced for us simply because this deck just gets such a boost from it. Next up, we have 3 Solemn Strike. Wow, I just realized this deck's super expensive for like a non-meta deck. But anyway, 3 Solemn Strike, and to go along with it, obviously, the Warning. So this is pretty standard for a counter trap deck. You want to run as maximum as possible. It's a shame that Judgment can't be around, but you know, how broken would that be? Judgment negate anything for free because of Ariadne. Oh dear God. But yeah, so this is pretty standard because you play counter traps. These are the best counter traps around, and you play them at max because you can just burn through them. You can activate Solemn Strike for free, Solemn Warning for free with Ariadne. It's all just so good, so I don't need to say too much about them. You get the picture. Next up, we have 3 Drastic Drop-Off. Now, this is a bit of a different one. Some people might realize why I'm playing this, and others might not. So I want to spend a bit of time talking about it. Drastic Drop-Off's effect is obviously a counter trap. Activate only when your opponent adds a card, or multiple cards, from their deck to their hand, including drawing a card. Your opponent discards one of those cards. So it is a random thing. If they draw in the... sorry, it's not random. If they draw in the draw phase, they discard the card that they drew. If they add something, then they discard the card they drew. Things like that. You know, it just makes sense. Reason why this is good, it's an instant draw with Bountiful. Because you summon Bountiful, set this, and then you instantly activate it in their draw phase. Because then you start 1, controlling what they're playing. 2, you know what they're playing. And 3, it's just, you know, decent. It's pretty good. It's like a little mini Dark Claw effect, obviously, but instead of the banishing. So Drastic Drop-Off is really solid. Really do like the card. At 3, it's not too cloggy at all because you really can just put your opponent under the cosh, make them feel really under pressure, and yeah, just in general, so it's good. A lot of the time, if you go with Ariadne and you're running out of stuff and you add this in, you can kind of bluff the fact that you want this by only maybe giving yourself one of them to choose from the 3. And they'll normally always give you this and then forget about it. And then you're like, okay, activate this, discard that card you just drew. So yeah, Drastic Drop-Off's really good simply because it's an instant activation effect for Bountiful. So if you know Bountiful has a chance of dying and you just want to try and get as much value out of it, you can activate it and just instantly get a draw. So it is quite nice. Next up, we have the 3 Storming Mirror Force. This is here for protection of Bountiful. Storming Mirror Force is amazing. So brutal against Burning Abyss, as we all know, which is one of the top decks. And just in general, it is good. It's only not good against Monarchs, because, you know, they can just tribute them. Yeah, kind of it. But you can always side out for that. It's a lot of stuff you can side into. So yeah, Quaking Mirror Force just too good. I think it's a Storming Mirror Force, actually. Sorry, I mean Quaking Mirror Force. Now we have the 2 counter traps of Grand Horn of Heaven. I actually really like this card. I didn't think I would like this card in this build at first, but it's just really nice because you can just completely end your opponent's turn. A lot of the time they'll be expecting a strike, and when you do activate the strike on their effect, they feel safe to be able to start special summoning monsters. Grand Horn of Heaven stops them in their tracks. And it's really nice the fact you just end the turn. So it means that, you know, more chances than not, Ariadne is going to be kept alive. Not Ariadne, sorry, Bountiful is going to be kept alive. So that's why I run it. It's very important. It's also like indirect protection for her. And then finally, we have the 2 Cursed Seal. Card is absolutely amazing. I would run a third in the side deck, depending on what you're going against. Insane against like Monarchs and Pendulum decks. And yeah, it's so good being able to activate Curse of the Forbidden Spell for free when you don't have to discard a spell with Ariadne. So yeah, it's absolutely brutal. So that is the main deck, 40 cards. Going on to the extra deck, we have the 1 Ignister. And I just want to point out my lovely Ignister, not showing off at all. But it's nice little, you know, misprint there. So yeah, so the 1 Ignister makes sense. I'll do these actually together. The 1 Ignister, the 1 Dinoster, and also the 1 Paladin. These are pretty standard. They are your Pendulum support, so it's pretty good. I will often only really normally go into Dinoster more than any of the others because, you know, it's just I normally will have Luster in the Pendulum zone. So, you know, you can get it out, but normally or not, it will just be there for fodder for Ariadne. So yeah, they all kind of do the job. I don't really say too much about it. I think you all get it. Yeah, so we're going to Steelswarm Roach. A lot of people are asking why I play Steelswarm Roach. Look at the meta. That's why. There are some pretty decent cards you can stop with this, and it's all about controlling with this deck. So Steelswarm Roach isn't exactly a terrible one. Really good against a lot of rogue matchups, if I'm completely honest. 1 Daigusto Emerald, just shuffle anything back in if I'd so wish. The 1 Dark Rebellion, just for further pushing. You don't really go into the extra deck all that often, if I'm completely honest. The number 101, number 1 Utopia, actually a pretty important card if you want to keep Bountiful alive. I'm not even joking. The 1 Starliege Paladinamo, because, you know, most of them are lights. The 1 Giant Hand, you probably won't go into this very often, but it's just useful if you do want to. The 1 Cowboy, Cowboy's just good. The 1 Castell, I still need to get my ulti. The 1 Abyss Dweller, because, you know, Abyss Dweller's really good currently. The 1 Luminescent Knight, again, just to if I want to target other things. And then finally the 1 Fairy Cheer Girl for any draws because I play Fairies. So that is it, guys. Quite a long deck profile, but I think it was needed because I need to talk a lot about some of the choices. Some of the counter traps, it's up to you if you want to run them. Dark Bribe is kind of meh. Depends what deck you go against. You could argue, say, that you can side them if you so wish. There are just so many counter traps out there that are either good or bad. And it completely goes down to player preference, if I'm completely honest. I think the counter traps that I have in this build are the key ones that you want. Curse Seal I still think is a very key card, if I'm completely honest. Drastic Drop-Off is just really good. Providence, Strike, all really important cards. So, yeah, but this card makes the deck. This card really does make the deck. It just allows you to turbo through. And yeah, just in general, you just need to be careful so you don't discard your whole hand, because about 8 times out of 10, I will have no hand by the end of the turn because I'll have used it or discarded it or anything like used it or set it or anything like that. So that is it, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of my new Counter Fairy deck. I'm really excited about it. It's one of these decks I'm super proud of because I don't really see many people actually running this type of deck. So I think, you know, I'm quite, you know, influential with this because it's one of my favorite decks. It's Fairies, and this card is just awesome. So that is it, guys. As I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any other thoughts on the deck or any changes that you will make, do let me know. The only thing that's really kind of meh is the Draco engine, just leaving the Luster in but maybe taking the others out. But then it reduces speed and blah 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 blah. So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later for the next video.